Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another edition of the Go Bills podcast presented by GoBillsPodcast.com. I am your host and founder of the page, Brett McDurphy. Glad to be with you on this Monday evening. It is a victory Monday for the Buffalo Bills, and we are doing our Overreaction Monday show. And I would like to bring it to you based off of everything that we saw from the Buffalo Bills yesterday, and boy, was it a great game to watch. Before we get into the topics that we're going to discuss, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on all social media platforms. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, as well as Threads. And also don't forget to go on into the comments section. Drop your comments below because it helps us to get more engagement with you guys, as well as it helps us to get higher on the rankings on YouTube as well. So we greatly appreciate all the comments that we get on YouTube and Facebook as well. And we will respond to every single comment as well. So let's talk about the Buffalo Bills and the Washington Commanders game that we saw yesterday. And it was a dominant performance from the Buffalo Bills defensive line. And I absolutely loved what I saw from them. Overall, in the game, the Bills had 9 sacks in the game, which is an incredible mark. It actually ties the franchise record for most sacks in the game. The Bills also had 5 turnovers in this game, so the Sean McDermott defense was doing their job throughout the whole entire game. Excellent from the team, and a great performance overall. The Bills also had their stud linebacker in, and this is a late round gem that we found, in Terrell Bernard, who had 7 tackles in the game to go along with the 2 sacks and an interception, along with a fumble recovery that he had as well. And then you also had Leonard Floyd, who had 2 sacks in the game as well. And he also had 3 tackles in the game as well. So great performance from the Buffalo Bills up front, doing a really good job. It was a good game from the Buffalo Bills as well in terms of what they did on offense. And I got to give a lot of props to the offensive line of the Buffalo Bills. And in specific, I want to give a shout out to Connor McGovern, who came in as our free agent, the big free agent addition that we had. And he is looking incredible out there as well. He took care of Darren Payne as well as Chase Young out there on the field, and he did a really good job of that. And we didn't allow a single sack in this game, so really good numbers from the Buffalo Bills. Absolutely loved what I saw from them, and it was a phenomenal performance from the Bills on offense as well as on defense. Wish we could have gotten a few more points on the board, but hey, it's that's wishful thinking, but we got the job done, winning 37-3, which is a great number and a good performance from the team as well, all the way around. Let's go around the AFC East and talk about the games in week 3 and how each team performed. So let's get into the biggest one, which is going to be the Bills matchup next week against the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins won 70-20. The Patriots won 15-10 on the Jets. So that rounds out the AFC East. And we'll get into the standings for the AFC East as well, because the Bills did move up in the standings for the AFC East, moving to second place in the division after the loss by the Jets. The Patriots move into third place, and then the Jets move into last place. Dolphins still in first place, but the Bills can get into first place with a win this week against the Dolphins, so they could get into first place. We'll see how that goes, but we have a good matchup at home against the Miami Dolphins, which has always been a struggle for the Miami Dolphins, so we'll see how that one goes. I remember back to a couple of years ago when Tua came in, I believe it was 2021 that he came, and watching the performance that we saw from Tua out there, and the Bills looked pretty good out there as well. They just didn't capitalize on enough out there. But Really good performance from the Buffalo Bills yesterday against the Washington Commanders. Let's get into game balls for the Buffalo Bills, and let's talk about who deserves a game ball in this game, because there's a few players that definitely deserve it. And I want to start off with the easy one, which I know a lot of people are going to say he definitely deserves the game ball, which is going to be Terrell Bernard, who had the 7 tackles to go along with 2 sacks and the interception and the fumble recovery. But there's a few other players that I think deserve game balls out there as well. And let's start with the offense, and we'll get into it. I got to give a game ball out to James Cook, who looked pretty good out there as well, averaging 6.5 per carry. He had 15 carries for 98 yards in the game. And then he also had in the passing game 2 catches for 14 yards as well. So good performance from him out there on the field. And then another player on offense who was playing in front of a home crowd this week, Stephon Diggs, 8 catches for 111 yards as well. Wishing he got into the end zone, but he wasn't able to this week. So overall, good performance from him as well. On defense, other than Terrell Bernard, I want to give a game ball out to our secondary, and I want to give it out to 2 specific players in this game. So I'm going to give out 4 game balls overall in this game. So the 5 game balls overall. On defense, 3 players get it. Terrell Bernard is the first one I already mentioned. And then I want to give a game ball out to Micah Hyde, who had an interception in the game, looked really good. And I called him out before the game on the Red, White, and Ruthless show. And I said that the defensive backfield, especially with the safeties, they did look a little slower out there. And I mentioned that because I was trying to motivate them. So hopefully they watched the show and they got involved out there. But they did a great job. I really liked what I saw from Jordan Poyer as well, even though he didn't get an interception in the game. He also came in and did a lot of run stuffing, which was important for the Buffalo Bills. And then Micah Hyde, great job out there on the field, doing a good job in the backfield, having the interception, which was a great one. Looks like he's getting his feet back under him again, which is great to see. And it was a good performance from him as well. And then the other guy that I want to give a shout out to, Tre'Davious White. He looked really good, only allowing a 17% passer rating, or 17.0 passer rating to his opponents. So really good numbers. Overall, the first 3 weeks, Tre'Davious White looks like he's coming back to himself. So that's a good thing as well. And then he also had the touchdown saving interception for the Buffalo Bills, which could have made it a closer game, but he had that interception. So really good numbers from him as well. And I absolutely loved what I saw from him. There's definitely other players that you can give game balls out to in this game. Other players that do consider some love as well. Ed Oliver, 1.5 sacks in the game. He's really starting to come onto his own again, and he's up to 2 sacks on the year so far. You could also give some love out to guys like Leonard Floyd, who had 2 sacks in the game, already up to 3.5 sacks on the year. Daquan Jones as well, another 1.5 sack performance, and he looked pretty good as well. 5 tackles in the game. 4 of them were assisted tackles, though. So he looked good as well. And then AJ Epinesa, a sack in the game, along with the leaping interception that he had that was ran back for a touchdown. You give some love to him as well. So don't forget, if you're watching the show later on, go into the comments section below and put your players of the game in the comments section below, because you can't go wrong with a lot of the players that were mentioned as well. Let's get into the player of the game presented by GoBillsPodcast.com. And the player of the game is going to be Terrell Bernard for me. And it has to be Terrell Bernard because he's looked really well over the last 3 games. really starting to come into his own. And it seems like the Bills defense is not missing a beat with Terrell Bernard out there on the field versus having guys like Tremaine Edmonds. And Edmonds is a different player that is on a struggling team in the Chicago Bears. And I feel bad for the situation that he's in as well. But Terrell Bernard, he joins an elite company for the Buffalo Bills overall after his really good performance that he had for the Buffalo Bills. He is one of 3 players in the history of the Buffalo Bills to have 2 sacks along with a interception in a game. He's joining the company of Jerry Hughes as well as Cornelius Bennett. So that's good to see him joining some elite company as well. But like I said, really good performance from the Buffalo Bills on defense. Absolutely loved what I saw out there as well. And the Bills are going to have a tough performance this week going up against the Dolphins team that is one of the better offenses in the league. But if you look at the title of the show, what I said, the Bills show that they are one of the best teams in the NFL, and they are one of the best teams in the NFL. They came back after an awful performance in week 1 to have 2 dominant wins, and their offensive line looks a lot better than they did last year. Their defensive line is incredible, looking really good. Back into some elite company up there in the league. And if you look at the week 1 performance, go back to week 1 and the amount of points that the Bills allowed, they've only allowed 35 points in 3 games. So that's a great number as well. Look at the Miami Dolphins and how many points they've allowed so far, 71 points. So the Bills are almost a little over halfway behind the amount of points that they've given up as well. Let's get into the Dolphins and Bills matchup. And I do want to get into it just a little bit. I don't want to go too far into it because we also have our preview show that we're going to get into later on in the week. That'll be on Friday that we do our preview show. But let's get into it a little bit and let's talk about what the Bills are going to be going up against this week. Now, the Bills are going up against the Miami Dolphins team that was on fire last week, going up against a Denver Broncos team that's struggling right now. The Dolphins put up 70 points on the Denver Broncos, and it was a different performance than I expected. I thought it was going to be a lot closer of a game, but it just seemed like the Broncos didn't have an answer for what the Dolphins were doing out there on the field. So the Bills are going to have a tough task going up against Tyreek Hill as well as Jalen Waddle, but the Bills are going to have to figure out a way to stop them, and there's going to be some ways that they can do that. I won't get into those details, but we'll get into them later on in the week. But there's going to be some ways that the Bills can stop them as well, along with a lot of speed. And that's one thing that Sean McDermott mentioned today in his press conference. He said that there's a lot of speed from the Miami Dolphins, and you're going to have to stop that speed. That's what it comes down to. So, but it really comes down to stopping the speed. As far as comments from Sean McDermott, what he said about the performance from the Buffalo Bills, he said that we've continued to play good physical football, which is always a good sign. And he said that he gives a lot of the credit to the offensive line of the Buffalo Bills, along with the defensive line of the Bills, looking really good as well. So overall, like I said, great performance. Really happy with what I saw from the Buffalo Bills. And we can focus into the Dolphins game, which is coming up on Sunday, and it's going to be a great matchup with some elite players. Hopefully we do see Kaiir Elam get elevated back onto the active roster and be active for the game. I think that the Bills are saving him specifically for this game because he's so good in man coverage, especially press man coverage. So we'll see what the Bills decide to do in this game, but I think that they're going to find a way to put Kaiir out there on the field. Don't forget that we have shows coming up throughout the week. Our next show that we're going to do is going to be on the Red, White, and Bills. That will be on Wednesday for our weekly picks show. That's going to be coming up on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. for our weekly picks show. Sean Kula is a little bit ahead of me on the picks, though, but I'm going to be catching up. So if you're new to our channel, don't forget to go on over to the Red, White, and Bills, check out the show and show them some love as well, because everything that we do, we always do it together, and we're a family. So let's shoot over to the Red, White, and Bills. Show him some love. Give him a ton of credit for what he does as well. And let's get him up to the 400 mark on YouTube for followers along with subscribers. So let's get him over to the 400 mark, guys. We would really appreciate that. Also, don't forget that we have the AFC East Summit show that'll be going live tomorrow at 8 p.m. on YouTube. That'll be on the Nickel City Mafia's YouTube channel. So if you're new to our channel and you don't follow Nickel City Mafia as well, go on over to the Nickel City Mafia, check them out, and give them some love. Drop a nickel on their subscribe button. They greatly appreciate it. Guys like Mike, Jake, as well as myself and Sean, we're all on that channel, as well as Timmy. And we also have a few others that are joining as well. We have Jeremy, and I'm going to forget the other person's name. I always forget it, but they're going to be doing a new show coming up in a couple of weeks. It's going to be a Sabres talk show. So if you're a big Sabres fan, don't forget to go on over to the Nickel City Mafia. Check out Sabres Talk. That's going to be a new show that's coming out in early October. So we'll definitely give you the details on when that comes out and let you all know about that as well. As far as for the Go Bills podcast, we will have shows coming up on Friday, as well as our Sunday pregame show, postgame show, and halftime show. So stay tuned for all those shows that are coming up, as well as we also have our Red, White, and Ruthless show on the on the Nickel City Mafia. That show is on. So go on over. We will be live on there at 8:30 on Saturday for the Red, White, and Ruthless show. So you'll see myself as well as Sean Kula on that show. And I got to say, nobody's cooler than Sean Kula. So if you're new to our channel, don't forget to go on over to all these channels and show some love as well. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us on social media. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, as well as Threads. And you can also find us on our website, gobillspodcast.com. Click on over to the website. You can find all of our upcoming shows that we will be doing. We will be adding that on immediately after this show because we are a little bit behind. The channel has been a little bit busy with other shows that we've been doing, but we'll get that over to you on our website, and we'll get all the upcoming shows that we have coming up this week. This has been Brett from the Go Bills podcast. We will see you next time for another edition of the Go Bills podcast. Until then, Go Bills.